That means that we are live, P&L Live. Jared Lawrence, Mike Mal. We are talking NCAA wrestling, and we thought today we would start off with stuff that's coming up as opposed to stuff that
future.
has. Let's look into the future, and if you're looking into the future, the one big duel to look at is Iowa versus Nebraska, and look, man. If there's one thing I'm excited about this duel is the prospect of heavyweights, right? I mean, are we going to see this kid, Ben, is it Keeter?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, like that kid's a stud coming off the football field. Football is done now for the college guys. And then we got the Hutmacher kid. Like this kid is like, we got two absolute freak athletes that we could see.
You got two football players going at it.
Look, but here's the thing. I don't know if this has happened before. Yeah, we've heard of kids that have dabbled in football. We've heard but these kids are legit. These are legit high-powered athletes that are playing two sports at a real high level. And I just don't know that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has happened in the past, right? Because, sports specific training is probably more prevalent now than it ever has been, but at this level, I don't know that it has happened. Can you remember a time?
No. And I'm surprised that the football in a Big Ten school would allow it. I mean, they're paying the bill, right? They're fronting it. Let's be honest.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that football's fronting it. If I was a football coach, I'd be like, listen, you have a chance of getting hurt. Like, no chance. But so that is really cool that they're allowing it.
I just don't know that. I think that sentiment is starting to go away. I think a lot of football coaches and look, like I owned a wrestling club in South Carolina for a little while, and for sure there is a lot of good old boys clubs left around the country, specifically in the Southeast, but I don't know that sentiment is all that prevalent anymore. I think a lot of these coaches really see the value in wrestling. You hear it all the time. I mean, I got a guy in my room. He's a pretty good football player. He didn't even play in college, right? Like he's got 3 Super Bowl rings, so he's pretty good, but world champion first, right? He was a world champion wrestler before he ever had a Super Bowl ring. So I hope that
it would be nice. It would be nice to see a future, because any really good wrestler, athlete, right, playing football, can wrestle, and if it allows it more, it'll keep that, especially that heavyweight spot, a little more exciting. It'll be interesting to see. So Nash is in, right? I believe. I don't know that. I think he's planning on wrestling.
Yeah,
and then between Hill and Cooter, we'll have to see how it is. I bet Iowa's got him ready to go.
I bet you, because this is not going to be a Iowa blowout.
Yeah, we'll see how the duel shakes out and see.
So let's take a look at that real quick.
Yep.
125, Drake Ayala against Caleb Smith.
Number 9 versus number 5.
It comes down to like stylistic matchups. I kind of like Ayala on this one, even though he's ranked 9th.
It's going to be. I think this will come down to scrambling ability, right? I think Ayala will have a little bit of the position factor, a little bit of the gas tank factor. But Caleb Smith's going to get to your legs at some point. It's going to happen, right? So then it becomes, how well can you scramble? Like Jory Volk just got beat by Ayala, but has beaten Caleb Smith twice this year. But both of those matches have come off scrambling abilities. So. Right? No,
for sure. I'm laughing because of the mess that is 125. Yeah.
Nebraska's got, home advantage a little bit. So that'll start us off with a bang.
Do they draw though? Do they draw in Lincoln?
It depends. It depends if both coaches agree to start at 125. We start at 125. So it kind of depends. Like if you have a 125 pounder that's cutting a lot of weight, you might be like, no, I want to draw. One of those type of things.
But Iowa never does. Typically they've always started.
I think a lot of them are doing that, to be honest. A lot of them are starting at 125 and it's just how you know wrestling. Right? Start at the smallest and you end at heavyweight, and having the heavyweight come back. I mean, man, we'll get to Ohio State. Is it Cornell last week that came down to heavyweight match? Like that's what it's about.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's whatever. Don't get me started about the I don't like change. Okay. 133, Brody Teske and Jacob Van D.
Yeah.
Should be Teske, I think.
Should be on paper. It's 9 versus 32.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Real Woods and Brock Hardy. You know, I love Real Woods. I can't imagine him losing this match. But Brock Hardy's got some tricks, dude. He's got some tricks.
You're going to have to be ready. It very easily could be a 3-0 start for Iowa.
Yeah. Was that a Big Ten final last year? Hardy versus Real Woods? I think it was, actually.
Could be.
Anyway,
you're going to have to be ready, though.
Yeah. Okay. 49. Ridge Lovett should get the Huskers on the board against Voinovich. The question and look, Voinovich is not an easy out.
Yeah, or Rathjen, right? Too. I mean, Rathjen just won Soldier Salute. So who knows which one of those guys could get thrown out? Could be both.
Wait a second. I don't know if you can tag team in college sports. Here's the thing, though. I think Ridge Lovett smells blood in the water. I think he goes for majors.
Yeah, he goes after it 100%.
4. Your boy Peyton Robb against Jared Franick. Now, have they wrestled each other before?
All through the ages. We've been wrestling Franick. Those two have been wrestling since 12 years old.
The fact that Peyton Robb can still make 157 pounds is absolutely beyond me. Like he is, it feels like I see him like towards the open and he just like, he looks like a tick that blew up. And then every single year, he just finds a way to shrink himself to 157 pounds. And good on him because it looks like he's healthy. Like it doesn't look like he's sickly, right?
No, he looks great, man. He's on a roll right now. He's looking real good. Him and Franick are always a close match because they're both very positional wrestlers, right? They're not super.
Right, they're not going to super duck people, is what you're saying.
No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to blast double. They're very solid position wrestlers. So that'll be a great match.
I think I'm going to go with Rob on that one. That brings the score after halfway to 9-7 on my books. Caliendo at 65 against Antrell Taylor. Caliendo's wrestling well. What did he do at Soldier Salute? Did he win or did he even wrestle?
Caliendo?
Yeah.
Yeah, he won. He beat Kennedy, I think. Yeah,
he's wrestling pretty well.
He's good. I would say let's just go with paper, right? It's 7 versus 16.
Not overthinking that one. Right. Okay. And so that's 3. Bubba Wilson at 74 against Aiden Riggins. I got to tell you, now when we talk about 74, 84, 97, these are the biggest kind of, with the exception of 97. I think Silas Allred's pretty much not a lock, but I think he's probably a favorite. But 74 and 84, those are the big swing bouts as far as I'm concerned. They don't have major answers, right? So it's
Swafford. Gabe Arnold is ranked 7 at 74. Do you think he goes out there?
how many? It's so hard to keep hold of now. Does he still have a
they're
red?
all
Does
over
he
the
still
place.
have a red shirt?
Yeah, so they're all over the place because he still has that. He still does have that ability. Whether they take him or throw him or not, because he's looked really good this year.
He's good, man.
He's looked solid. So Caliendo beat Kennedy. So then it's like you have basically Kennedy, Gabe Arnold, and Riggins at 74-84. And you got to figure out how that's going to work into your best lineup, right? You need to beat Bubba Wilson if Iowa wants to win this duel.
Right. And I think they probably will. Right? I think they probably will.
It just depends on who they throw out, right? Do you throw Kennedy? Do you throw Kennedy at Bubba Wilson and try to get a win there? He's small though. He was just at 65. Or do you throw Gabe Arnold to get that win, and then you have Pinto, the next weight, who's like number 3? Do you try to throw? You know, I don't know if they try to bump Gabe Arnold up. I don't know what they're doing with Gabe Arnold, right? So,
yeah.
They got some choices to make though, but let's just say they throw their best guy at 74 and try to get that win.
All right, so let's say however it works out.
So that's their 5th win, right? That gives them
correct.
5.
That's 5. That's 5 wins for Iowa. Now 84-97. Yeah, you were right. Lenny Pinto. That's right. I forgot about him. So he probably, but he's not like a huge point scorer though, right?
No. Let's just and Iowa's hard to major, right? They're really good position unless you're going to get on the ground and turn them.
Right.
They're going to be hard.
Yeah. Okay. So and then Silas Allred, I think, also gets a W
over Glazier. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that brings it to.
It brings it to heavyweight, man.
Yeah, you're right. And we got the 2 football players. Daggone it. You're right. It does make for some drama.
Now,
there's
toss-up matches, right? You got Peyton and Franek that can go either way, and you got Ayala and Smith that can go either way, right? So it could get really dicey, or one team wins a couple of those and it changes it. But man, that'll be a good Big Ten. That's a good duel. It's number 2 versus number 3, I believe, in the world of Big Ten, right?
But that's it's a good duel. And here's my question. Does Nebraska put butts in the seats? Like, does it look good in Lincoln when they got a good duel going? I don't think I've ever been there for a duel.
No, I think they will pack that place up. I think it'll be really exciting. I've talked to a few people that are P&L people that are going to Lincoln, and then we have our P&L regional on Sunday. This is Friday, so I've heard a lot of people are talking about you're making a trip out of it, right? So you're leaving, you're going down to Lincoln, hitting that up, and then swinging over to Iowa City for our P&L youth.
The regional.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. Catch a duel like that. I've not been to a duel. I mean, I've been there for Final X. I've been there for World Team Trials. I've never actually been there for a duel. I've been to Nebraska duels, but never in Lincoln. I
better believe that Iowa's going to bring some people there.
Oh, Iowa travels.
This is a big deal, and it's travelable. It's not crazy.
No,
right?
No, I got to tell you, man, I'm pretty stoked about it. And I can't help but harp on the dual meet thing. These things are a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. I know that like everyone kind of agrees, with the exception of a very few people, that we need some type of dual meet national championship, but we can't have it tomorrow. So if you can't have it tomorrow, you need to get your butt to these duels and support these guys, because it's fun and they're putting some effort into it now, man. We got the smoke machines. They are streaming them. It's a cool thing. It's a really, really cool thing. So, all right. Any what do we want to talk about from last week, man?
Do we want to hit on anything? I'm just going to give a real quick rundown of here's Friday night, right? So you have Indiana versus Rutgers. You have Illinois versus Ohio State, Iowa versus Nebraska, which we touched, Michigan versus Maryland, right? Those are all 7 p.m. Friday. Anybody that wants to, check into those. And then Sunday, normally you go Friday, Sunday, Big Ten season has started. Michigan versus Michigan State, which, Michigan's favored, but that's a good rivalry within Michigan, right? Northwestern versus Maryland, yes. Indiana versus Penn State, and Rutgers versus Purdue. And then Monday is Minnesota at Iowa.
Minnesota at Iowa. That's Monday night?
Monday night, Martin Luther King Day. So I don't think a lot of schools are in, so that will be good. Now, I do think that Iowa's maybe ranked ahead in almost every weight, except for maybe like 84. So Minnesota will definitely need to have a couple upsets there to make that match a little interesting.
Yeah, it's there's been some really good stuff going on around the country, though. Like you brought up Ohio State Cornell, which wound up being 21-20.
Came down to your boy, man.
Yeah, Nick Feldman. I just want him to be healthy. How about that? I just really want him to be healthy. He was down by 1 with short time on the clock, gets a takedown against Louis Fernandez, excuse me. I don't know, man. I want him to be healthy because I think he can be really dynamic. Now, that said, though, do you think that people can recover from neck injuries like he's had?
Yeah, I think so. Now his he broke it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what they did, but I have a lot of my teammates that actually, they had to get their necks fused together. I mean, Luke Becker got his neck fused together like 20 years ago, and he's scrapping every day. Every day I see him, he turns like this.
He does do that.
Man, I was like, you got to quit wrestling live so much. He's like, I know.
And he never does. And he just never does. Yeah, not at that level, but I still find myself like, why am I doing this? Penn State, Oregon State. Penn State just blew them out. The interesting matches to me there, Braden Davis. Again, we've kind of asked ourselves, hey, is Braden Davis going to be the answer at 125 for the Nittany Lions moving forward? And it looks like he's starting to separate himself as like a real legitimate answer at that weight class, because he beat Brandon Kaler 11-6, and Brandon Kaler is a All-American. Kid's good. Kid's real good. Another notable win in that bout was Trey Munoz over Bernie Truex. Now, man, I love Trey and I love Bernie as wrestlers, both of them. 5-2 was the score on that one.
Yeah, and that's a one takedown match, right? I mean, that's
an interesting one though. Like, because that jukes up the rankings quite a bit.
Yeah, it does.
And I think going into this season, we kind of all saw this as a 2-horse race with Keckeisen and Truax, but now Munoz is starting to interject himself. And if he gets in the way of Keckeisen winning a national title this year, that would be really, really interesting. That would make things really, really interesting, because
he's kind of flexible and he can scramble a little bit too. So
yeah, he's got some jump, right?
Yeah, that can throw a curveball matchup wise.
Sure.
So yeah.
Northern Iowa beat Wyoming 36-6. Good golly. Nebraska beat Wyoming 44-3. Nebraska beat Northern Iowa 18-17. That is it's an interesting one.
That was tight.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Schwabi's boys up at UNI. They kind of seem hot and cold, or maybe it's just matchups that, I don't think Nebraska really matched up with them very well, right? Julian Farber beats Van D. Cale Happel, who's just such a strange enigma to
Yep.
me, beats Brock Hardy. Ridge Lovett wins. Ryder Downey beats number 3 Peyton Robb. Like, these are just like scrappy little wins.
Yeah.
That, all right, well, now they're back in it. Keckheisen won, Allred won, Terrell Gordon won. So yeah, it was a super close match.
Yeah. And was that on a Sunday?
It was, I think it was still on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday.
Okay.
And how about this?
Just had a couple matches. Like, you get into the couple of those duels, right? Where you just have multiple duels in one day, and you don't do the right things to your body. You don't fuel the body right. You're in trouble in D1 wrestling.
Yeah. I'm just looking at this right now, and it says that UNI was deducted 1 team point for a penalty. Nebraska was deducted 1 team point for throwing their headgear. Ooh. Nebraska wins on criteria. I don't know which criteria it was. It probably looks like bonus of some sort, because Keckheisen got a tech. Silas already got a fall, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of equal each other out. Yeah.
Yeah. George Mason, Virginia, Michigan State, Ohio. Not much else of note. Rutgers beats Penn, and then there's some open tournaments on Sunday, I believe.
Cornell beat Virginia Tech.
That's a good win for them.
And pretty good too. It's like 24-13 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I don't know if I would have expected, especially with Vito out.
Yeah. Cooper Flynn beat Unger.
Be back. What's going on with Vito? I actually don't know. I haven't been paying attention.
I don't know. I think every barrel of every gun for him is pointed towards making 57 for the trials.
Yeah.
He's got a national title.
Yeah.
He's proven that he can wrestle at 133, across the world. I think he's got to start thinking about 57K.
He does not stand off as a guy that likes to back down from anything. And Cornell wrestles Lehigh this weekend.
They do. Yeah.
So, does Vito hey, I want a rematch?
Oh, geez.
I mean, Crookham's in, man. He's back now. So,
yeah.
I look at their probable lineup for this weekend, and he's listed at 133. I just don't know what Vito's doing. I just
And they get a little bit competitive too, right? I mean, that's EIWA's kind of the top end of EIWA's, which, it's not the greatest conference in the world, but they do have some old school pride there. I don't know. I don't know. I think if I were to guess, I would say Vito probably sits this weekend. But I don't know. I don't have any information on that.
Yeah.
You're right. Cornell did have some real interesting wins there. Foca had a nice little win, a major decision over Cody Howard. Cooper Flynn over Unger. Sam Latona wins. Cornella. Meyer Shapiro beats Bryce Andonian by injury default.
Yeah, that's too bad. I want to see that one again. Now,
Shapiro,
he wrestled. So back to our Cornell match.
Mm-hmm.
Cornell, Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Shapiro tech falls Patty Gallagher.
Brutal. This kid he has the ability. When he gets moving downhill, he is so hard to beat. It's like quicksand, man. Like, when you start wrestling this kid in positions that he is more adept than you in, forget it, man. Forget it. You are in a world of trouble. Of trouble.
That would be a fun one to see, just because Patty Gallagher is really good at getting to that knee pull, man. So I'd like to see how that played out. But it could have got turned right. He could have got into a couple of those crab ride, claw ride, tilt type things that he can do pretty well. So
kid's good, man. He's real good with those legs in.
Iowa State beat Arizona State 28-10. Chittum beats Teamer.
Yep.
Right. Which was a big upset. And then Bastida beats Schultz 4-3.
Yeah.
So that was I thought that was interesting, just because it was what are they, number 3 and number 2?
Yes. And also like you couldn't have more complete opposite styles of wrestling at heavyweight, right? Like Bastida is coming up from 97. For all intents and purposes, Colton Schultz has to cut weight to make 285. Like he is a lumbering heavyweight. Not that he's not athletic, because he is, but he is as lumbering as it gets at a heavyweight level. And yeah, those are two very, very different styles of wrestling. It's kind of cool to watch too, right?
Yeah. No,
what
absolutely. Just being heavyweights and being able to move like that.
Oh yeah,
is exciting.
Yeah, these kids are, and God, we are in the golden age of heavyweight wrestling. There's no question about it. Like think about the heavyweights when, like across the country, obviously you were on a team with Brock and he could move a little bit, but like across the country, there were not this many high or college athletes that could move like all these kids can move at heavyweight. These kids are really, really good.
They're real athletic. Yep.
All of them, man. Right? Like the fact that Nick Feldman is not in the top 10 is bananas to me.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got, brother man?
How about your call last week on Okie State?
Yeah.
NC State, man. I mean, you were like dialed in.
Yeah. You know what's funny, man? The truth of the matter is there are some kids on that Oklahoma State team that are just plain old tough. Like I'm talking about Troy Spratley's so tough, he cooks bacon without a shirt on. That's how tough he is. Like he's just tough. Like, you know, and like Dustin Plott, like these are just tough kids. And like,
yeah, that was a big match right there. And it was 13-8.
Yeah. And then they pull it out at the, you know, it's just, every once in a while, you see these matchups and you're like, you know, yeah, on paper they're supposed to lose, but first of all, nobody tells Troy Spratley that he's going to lose a match. Like there's no, like including himself, like he is in every match because he has an unwavering confidence and he's just tougher than hell. So I don't know, man. Yeah, I thought it could have went that way and it sure did. And I don't know what that means. Does it mean that this is like a shot in the arm to an Oklahoma State team that's been kind of sputtering a little bit?
But they're. I mean, when you look at they have some people that are ranked. They have some good things going, right? And then they have some young guys that can still prove themselves yet, right? They're still not ranked super high. I mean, Braden Thompson's not ranked very high, but he could be he could be higher than he is right now. They're just young. You know, Tegan Jamison is young. Troy Spratley's young. I mean, those guys can step up or stay where they're at. It just kind of depends on them, right? Hey, what was the call? Because I didn't watch the duel, but I did see a highlight where John Smith was getting fired up, and one of his guys had to hold him back a little bit. Do you remember what that was over?
No, I don't. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just looking at the box score right now. I might
just go back and watch it just to see that. I like seeing J-Dub get a little fired up.
Oh, he's the best when he gets fired up. And he's like one of the so there's a couple of people that really go get some leeway from officials. How about that?
Well, he's earned it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm not like saying that he hasn't, but man, oh man, the amount of F-bombs that he drops on those officials is like anyone else would be carded for sure. But he's the GOAT, dude. What are you gonna do? Yeah, I keep on going back to Jordan Williams. I love this kid. I've always loved the way that he wrestles. The fact that he's getting majored at 149, I just don't understand the thought process, the idea behind dropping him to win. And don't get me wrong, Teague Travis quite obviously is doing just fine, right? He beat number 5 Ed Scott. And maybe they just need someone at 49. I just don't understand.
And J-Dub, man, he likes some people cutting weight.
Oh God, it kills me. And they all lie about it. They lie, like they lie about it. I still talk to Eric consistently. I'm like, why are you doing that? He ain't cutting that much weight. He's fine. I'm like, you're lying. You're lying. He's on crutches. Stop it. Stop. Yeah. Like, I just don't understand that thought process anymore, man. I just don't, and again, maybe I just don't know. Maybe maybe they just need a 49 in a big bad way. And he's the only one that can make the weight, but it looks like they're cutting the legs out from under him. Am I crazy?
No, he's that. I don't know. I don't know where his weight's at. I don't know where it's at. I don't know who else. Maybe he just keeps beating everybody else that's there.
Yeah.
They have Pittsburgh. The Big 12 season also is in a big kickoff.
Sure.
So Oklahoma State takes on Pittsburgh. Pitt also takes on Iowa State this weekend too. So those are.
It's a tough weekend for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Because Iowa State's good. They're real freaking good.
That's the big matchups in the Big 12.
Do you see a world where Penn State graduates their okay, so I was thinking about this morning. Every time I think that Penn State is going to graduate what has basically become a once in a generation wrestler, except they're doing it every single year, right? Because think about it. It's right now it's Srirachi and it's Aaron Brooks.
Yeah.
And before that, it was Nickel and it was Nolf and it was Chenzo. But and before that, it was David and Ed. And before, but they're getting these generational talents to perform. Do you see a world where that comes to an end soon? Right? Like once Srirachi and Aaron Brooks graduate, is that the end of the generational talent era for them? Because I just don't see it. I don't know who else they would have there. I mean, what does their recruiting class look like up top?
Yeah, and they have to be getting on it now too. Like Srirachi, nobody really knew who he was either.
Yeah,
and he was good.
He was good, but he
wasn't like going to every tournament. He wasn't like somebody that was very well known, right? I remember watching him as like a freshman. It was COVID, and they wrestled. God, who did they wrestle? And it was like in a weird stage event because they couldn't get it anywhere. And it was like a Nittany Lion Club, wrestling Wolfpack or something like that, right? And I remember looking back and I'm like, that Srirachi guy moves well. But I was like, yeah, never heard of him. So, move on. And then I talked to Kyler Sanderson about it. And he's like, no, dude, he moves. He is good.
Yeah. So they just create these athletes. So, it goes back to like, if you're a 125 and you're one of the top kids in the country and you don't go to either Iowa or Cornell, you're a fool. If you're a heavyweight and you're one of the top kids in the country and you don't go to Minnesota, you're a silly goose. Right? I mean, but it seems like if you're a upper middleweight, 74, 84, 97 upper weight, you're going to Penn State. You just are. You're probably not there.
Well, now even they're younger guys too, because you have your Nick Lees and you have you have Nolfs and you have those guys that you're working out with, Dakes and everybody, right? So basically from 141 to 197.
Good Lord.
Take your pick. Take your pick of what world champion you want to work out with.
Good Lord. Unbelievable. I just don't see. It's funny, man. Like every time I say I don't see a generational talent behind them, they just create one. Like you're right, Srirachi. Like Aaron Brooks was the buzz. Like that kid was the buzz coming out of high school. That kid was
everybody knew him though, because he's making world teams and
he's making world teams. Yeah. He's wizard kicking Trent Hidley in the finals of Fargo. It's like, we know who Aaron Brooks is. But you're right, they're creating generational talents. And it's I guess they did the same thing with Ed Ruth. I don't know that Ed Ruth was the buzz coming out of high school, right? I mean, he wasn't like that good, was he?
I don't know either. That's too long.
I don't remember. But I mean, obviously David was as sought after as just about anyone. Anyway, all right. Anything else before we get moving here, brother?
No, we did it. We covered it.
We did it in 35 minutes and we crushed it. Jared Lawrence, Mike Mal, PNL Live. I'll see you guys next week. See you.